that'll do just fine.
Yeah, what I do is I use a safe deposit box. My bank is only about a mile and a half from my house, and so it's easy to just every time I do a backup, I then swap it out and back up again on the one from the safe deposit box. So I generally have two backups, one off-site and one.
Yeah, that's great. That's probably about as good as you're going to get for a drive that you keep physical control of.
Yeah, that sounds very safe. And it sounds like you've got a strategy, and that's what matters. Yeah, great advice. For those who are following along on the YouTube streams, by the way, they did just start. I had failed to start the broadcast. And just as a reminder, we had a discussion last week. If you're using a Lume Pad, the LeaTube app needs to be updated before it'll work with our YouTube stream or any YouTube stream, I presume. But I imagine everyone here already has that figured out. I see that Jay put a link in the chat. This looks like the 3-2-1 rule for backups. Yeah, that's a great place to start to develop a comprehensive backup strategy. I just don't want anything bad to happen to any of you guys. And
It's amazing to me how few people keep backups. I mean, everybody has so much data that's important to them, but they sort of don't realize it until they lose it. And then they lose it. And often they don't improve their situation. I don't know. It's just something I guess people aren't taught. I guess we need to be taught because it's sort of not sexy or something.
it's not something you ever think of until it's too late.
Do you know what happened? Did you drop it? Power on, power off?
You know, I woke up the computer and it couldn't find the drive. And I restarted the computer and it said the drive needed to be formatted. And I tried it in another
Oh,
computer and it said the same thing. So really no warning. I ran a few diagnostics on it and I couldn't come up with anything. But I have read that the solid state devices, do fail. They fail seemingly randomly because they don't make any noise, they don't give any warning, they just stop working. Let me ask, for those who are looking at the side-by-side YouTube stream, does it look okay to you? It looks a little blurry to me.
Fuzzy. It looks
Very
fuzzy.
fuzzy. Okay.
I'm getting a purple waiting signal. And I
Okay.
was mad on other YouTube streams earlier today.
Interesting. Maybe I do need to downgrade the video. Let me fiddle with these. Oh, we might be stuck with that for now. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to briefly stop the YouTube half-width side-by-side stream and start it up again. And I'll do some more investigating to make sure that we're maximizing the resolution that we can get. So that you may need to restart your stream. I apologize for that glitch. I'm just setting it up here myself. Let's see if this is any better. While still looks fuzzy. Okay. We might have to live with that tonight, but we'll get to the bottom of this.
Is it foggy outside your house or something that's
Maybe
blurring it?
that's what it is. Maybe it's maybe the lens is dusty. Maybe it needs to be cleaned up or something.
Uh,
Go
I'm
ahead.
thinking that this happened coincidentally with the upgrade of the Leosoft software,
That's true.
which was triggered, I'm guessing, by some change at YouTube. So I wouldn't shoulder the blame yourself, Matt.
Thank you. And actually, that's a good point. Is anyone watching the half-width side-by-side YouTube stream on a 3D TV? Maybe not tonight. Maybe we've all gone over to the tablet.
So for what it's worth, it wasn't blurry last week after I updated my my Leia Tube software. So, the blurriness is new today.
Okay, good to know. Well, we'll get to the bottom of this, and yeah, maybe I'll even work on this tonight. I also notice, I don't know, something's going on here. I'm not going to speculate and waste everybody's time with my ideas. I want to give this quick demo of how I use this color card, and then we'll get to the slideshow. Let me just set this up here. While I set this up, this will just take me 60 seconds or so. Does anyone have anything they would like to announce or share? Any good 3D movies playing? All right, I am launching Photoshop right now. This might bring my computer to its knees. And if so, we'll do the demo a little later. Let me share my screen here. Here we are. Okay, this is Photoshop. This happens to be Photoshop 2024. This would work in any version of Photoshop, or I think, any, it should work in other image editing applications also. Let's give this a try. Let me open up. Now, normally I would be working with a RAW file, camera raw, because my camera raw files are backed up on my cloud drive right now. I just took a quick JPEG with my iPhone, and it's just a picture of the card. And I would, if I was out and about, before I started shooting, I would just take a photo of the card in the light that I was in. And then later, I would go to the camera raw filter. Now, normally this would be a camera raw image, but I think this will still work. And when I select color, to customize the white balance, there's this eyedropper tool. And what it recommends is that you select a, not too bright white, maybe a 20% or a 50% gray, which is why there's this series of grays here. And you can see as I click this, I'm clicking this lighter gray here, the color balance changes, the temperature changes, and the tint changes. And I can kind of, play with these until I find the color that is a good compromise. These all are whenever I click these with this eyedropper tool, I get the same color temperature within, one or value of 1 or 2. And you can see in doing this, the colors that are represented on the card, as well as the colors that would be represented in this photo. There are no colors in this photo because I just took a picture of the floor, are much more vibrant and much more accurate. And I'm not adjusting the saturation or the vibrance. I'm really letting the camera decide what the colors are based on my custom white balance. So that's how I'm using this card to get very accurate colors in my photos. Does that
So
make sense?
after you get those numbers, do you then manually put those numbers into your real photos that don't have the card in the photo?
Precisely. Yes, I do. So for that batch of photos, I would come in here, set the white balance to custom, change the temperature, bring it down 12, bring the tint up 6. And I find that doing that gives great results. There might be a way to make this kind of a, I don't know what that is. There might be a way to sort of automate that, but I don't know. I just put those values in manually.
Okay. And do you use only those grayscales? You don't even use the colors that are on the
Don't
card?
even use the colors. Yeah, just the gray.
Oh,
And in
so
fact,
cut the colors off, and then you have less to carry.
you could. In fact, the back of the card, as I'll show you, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Here's the card. You can see by comparison how bad the colors render from this cheap webcam. And you can see through the green because I've got a green screen behind me. So something like that. The back of the card is just gray. So you could just flop this down and have a larger target, I guess. But I've had great results with this thing. And I'm going to keep using it, and I suggest everyone give it a try.
I assume the back is a middle gray.
Yeah, the gray. I think the back gray corresponds, I think, with one of the darker grays on the front. And I think the gray that you choose to sample from kind of depends on the brightness of the day, brightness of the light, rather, factors like that. Because sometimes the white will be really blown out, and I don't know if that's very accurate. But what the instructions say is to use one of the grays.
And what tool was that in Photoshop?
That is I was using the Camera Raw filter. Now, in the version of Photoshop that I have, it doesn't need to be a Camera Raw file. You can pull a JPEG into the Camera Raw filter. I don't know if it's really doing the same thing, but you have the same tools available to you. So,
and that's normally under filter.
In Photoshop, yes, it'd be under the filter menu item. And it'll say
Okay,
Camera
thanks.
Raw filter. And that's how you do it in Photoshop. I know that custom white balance and changing the white balance is a common thing in Camera Raw, and maybe other image editing programs also allow you to do that with a JPEG. But I only know how to do it in Photoshop.
I have to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, so thanks for reminding me, Herb. I hope that was useful.
Yes, it was.
So without further ado, let's enjoy our slideshow. By the way, I got some late entries. Melinda, I did get your entries. If you are using the downloaded files for tonight's slideshow, make sure you downloaded them in the past, 5 or 6 hours or so. because they were updated after I posted them last night. Okay. Okay, I'm sharing my screen now. Oh, and I forgot. I think everyone already has this information. I just put all of these links that I've been talking about in the chat, as I try to do when the meeting actually starts. And I hope everyone here didn't struggle to find the Zoom link and the stream link and the download link and the poll link and all that. I think last week I mentioned that I've moved those to a new page on the website. Okay. Oleg, you were the first to submit, so you're the first up tonight. We have 4 by you. And the title of the first one is Greenhouse Interior in Grayscale. Take it away.
Yeah, I like the design of those shadows, but this is a one I submitted already. It's a color picture, but the colors were just too much. So I like it better this way as a black and white. There's a lot of places to look on this.
A lot of frames.
A lot of places for your eye to rest on.
It's an amazing photo. I don't remember it being in color at all. This is exactly how I remember it. Yeah, it's dazzling.
And I see you're using the frame.
Yeah. How do you like it? Is it okay? Is it too thick or too?
I think it works. What do you guys think?
I like it.
I'd probably reduce it by like a quarter or something.
It is very pronounced. It's definitely a part of the image.
By the way, for what it's worth, your YouTube stream is still on the title slide. It hasn't advanced, so I don't know if you're...
Make sure it's playing on your side. It did advance on mine. It's still very blurry. And I notice it's also horizontally
how do I make sure it's playing?
If you tap it, if you tap the...
It's not paused.
Is anyone else seeing just the title screen on the half-width stream?
Okay.
Yeah, I do see it, although it looks pretty ragged. No comment on the photo itself. Yeah, it looks like I need to do some legwork to figure out what's going on here.
Is it playing for anyone else?
It is playing for me.
No, I mean, you're the
Right.
It's your site, so I'm wondering if...
Is anyone else using the half-width side-by-side YouTube stream on their Lume Pad or 3D TV tonight?
No, I shut mine down. It was giving me a headache.
Too ugly.
Well, no, the Lume Pad sits over to the side, and every time I turn my attention to the screen in front of me, the Lume Pad goes into 2D mode.
Right.
And then I tilt my head a little bit, it pops into 3D mode. So every time I turn my head, it pops in and out and it drives me nuts. But that's just me.
Well, sorry, Herb. I think you might be on your own tonight.
It's not like it's a major problem. I just figured I'd let you know, because keeping secrets doesn't help anybody.
Yes, indeed. That will help me diagnose this. I will say, for what it's worth, the anaglyph stream looks great. It's sharp. And this being a black and white exhibition, these really are the perfect subjects for anaglyph. So if nothing else, and if you have a pair of anaglyph glasses handy, you might want to try that YouTube stream tonight. Or, of course, you can just follow along on the Zoom screen share.
Okay.
Oleg, I'm sorry we were a bit distracted. Do you have anything else you'd like to share about this one before we move on to the next?
I can't think of anything.
All right.
I just like the balance of it.
Yeah, it's very nice. Thank you. Let's take a look at no hunting in an Idaho ranch.
Yeah, this is another picture that failed when it was shown in color. So I cropped it a bit, and what I like is the way the no hunting sign stabilizes the composition. I tried to make the border the same as the border in the border of the picture, the same as the border of the sign.
Oleg, what do you mean when you say failed?
What happened was the color was bad. It was not springtime, so the grass was brown, and I liked the composition. So in black and white, without that destruction, I like it much better.
So both of these are really good examples of pictures where you felt like the color wasn't working. So it's the perfect subject for switching to black and white.
I'd like to see it with more contrast.
I think it looks pretty good. I'm looking at the direct feed, and it looks really good on my monitor. I wouldn't change anything.
There's an awful lot of work on the corner of that fence. Don't know what the guy who put it up was doing.
It looks like there's some candy canes hanging on that. Maybe not. They're probably something else. I don't know what they are.
I think it's the shadow falling on them.
Oh, could be.
Yeah, my eye is drawn right to that no hunting sign.
That's the way it was designed.
That's where my eye keeps coming back to that point right there.
So, Oleg, did you attempt to correct the color to get a good color version of this?
There was no. You need to have some color to start with, but brown, you can't do too much with brown.
Oh, you'd be amazed.
All right, thank you, Oleg. Next by Oleg is Quasi Grayscale at a Hamilton parking lot.
Yeah, this is a color photo, but it was such a gloomy day
Huh.
that the only color and happily all the foreground uh, is in is black and white just by default, and there's just a little color in the deep background, and there are a couple of red cars. So this is like it looked.
Yeah, it looks like you can see some green in the bushes in the background.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
And the tower too.
What, look a little blue in the glass?
Yeah, it was a little blue. One thing I did, I don't know if it's noticeable. Um, I like to I like to end my pictures at something interesting. And what I lined up the center line there with the in the deep background. There's a small lamp. I don't know if anybody notices it, but that's the reward for following that center line.
Like it.
Yeah, this one's a lot of fun. And of course, no leaves in the trees, so there's no color there.
One red tape tree.
Back there, yes. All right, yeah, very clever, Oleg. Love it. And number 4 from Oleg tonight, surfer confronts big wave.
Yeah. Now this one, I'm wondering about that border, whether maybe it's too much, huh?
It's pretty dominant.
Yeah, that's the thickest one I used. So maybe do it like the previous picture.
Have you tried it without a border?
Oh yeah, it was originally a color photo.
You've submitted this before, haven't you?
Yes.
I remember this from many years ago. Um, I remember really liking this in color.
The colors were interesting. That there was quite the green in the waves, and I believe the surfer had a red shirt, so it was okay. But I just like it. It seems stronger as black and white.
Did you darken the water, the waves at all?
No.
Those are ominous looking waves.
Yeah, I can't remember now what happened. A lot of times I take the picture and then I have to readjust the camera, so I miss out on what happens at the end.
Now tell us the lenses that you used for this. This is your work is usually recognizable by your wider lenses, but this is, of course, very telephoto.
Yeah, this is my telephoto lens. Yeah, I forget what number it was, but it's far as I could get with about a 3 foot stereo base.
Well, yeah, it's very dramatic. Thank you, Oleg. All right. I'm not sure. Let's see. It looks like Bob Bloomberg has not joined us. Let's go ahead and enjoy the 3 photos that he submitted for tonight, and maybe we will hear from him later. The title of this first one is Escape. Do we have any comments for Bob, or do we want to
Should we save it?
wait?
I would wait.
Let's
We can
wait.
do it at the end, maybe.
All right.
At least.
Any objections?
Yeah, I think we should wait for Bob.
Okay. I'm going to go through these 3 rather quickly then. And we will put Steve under the spotlight with Catwalk.
All right, this might look familiar. This is a revisit with taking some suggestions of this fairly complex process. I wish it was a little easier, because I would like to try, different angles and things, but I think it took 60 steps to get to this. So if I wanted to make a change, I would have to start from step number 1. But yeah, for those that weren't here previously, it's an animal. Actually, I think it's a tiger, against a green screen, and I took about every 8th frame from it, and I used DaVinci Resolve to turn it into monochromatic, into high contrast, and then put an edge around it. They're all tools that are available for free in DaVinci Resolve, a video editing program. And then I just translated it, because he's already moving toward the camera, so I didn't have to make it get bigger. But he's sort of walking directly toward the camera, and I just translated it in X, and translated it, a little bit more. So I'm sort of debating if I want to keep, like the tail in there, because it's just there for those two iterations.
I can't fuse the whole back part of it. So everything on the left is kind of random. I can see how there's a tail sticking out at, I don't know, 10 o'clock in the left eye, and it doesn't have any corresponding tail in the right eye.
What? Oh, really? Oh, are you talking about like a tail down and sort of in the middle of his body?
Yeah, there's something in the middle of the body sticking out at sort of the 10 o'clock direction, toward the back in the left eye.
Only in the left eye. Yeah, it might not be. There's a lot of guesswork involved in creating these. I think I'm getting a little better at it. I'll keep pursuing it. unlike the one last time, I faded it up so it starts dark. I also reversed I think I accidentally put the image that's the farthest back on top of the stack originally, and I reversed that this time. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell just because it's a white line, but it does kind of block out.
I mean, it works really well on the right half. It's sort of like every line in one eye has a corresponding partner in the other eye, and then it just becomes a jumble to me on the left.
I mean, it definitely the feet definitely become a jumble. I don't try to when I'm looking at it, I don't try to resolve all of that. I just kind of get an overall impression and I tend to focus on the big cat and that's at the far right. And
Yeah,
then
so that part looks great. I wish the whole thing was like that.
I might be able to get a more consistent effect if I use more frames. That does tax the memory, but I can probably do it. I had fewer problems with the memory issues this time than I did last time.
How about sticking a third tail in that empty space on the left?
Are you suggesting I just like paint it out or something like that?
Just take the middle one, the rear one now, make it a little smaller and stick it somewhere toward the left end of the composition. To be one.
Yeah, if I were to revisit this, I would probably like I said, there's a lot of guesswork involved, so I don't really have a lot of control about the various parts, but I will probably pay more attention to that since you both brought it up.
I think it just gets very busy in the rear because there are a lot of intersections of the lines. And I could see, I'm analyzing it in stereo and I'm analyzing the anaglyph, which shows me the outlines. And I think sometimes the red and the blue outlines kind of clash because they overlap. So that might be why the stereo effect is kind of muddled or diminished towards the rear left. So maybe simplifying some of those lines, maybe just painting some out and retaining the outlines, but maybe for like the rear third of the image, simplify the legs of this big cat to make it more clear. I think it works in 2D with all of that detail, those overlapping outlines. But in 3D, it's kind of, I think it causes some kind of rivalry or some sort of confusion.
Maybe the answer would be to find like a person walking and do it with that. I mean, the first one I did a long time ago was a man
Right,
walking.
I remember that one.
I might want to go back to that because there's a lot less going on. I mean, there's half the number of legs and no tail.
Yeah.
I thought of a slightly better way to use my suggestion. If you draw a line from the biggest tail and above the smaller tail, then put in two tails going down. That'll give the eyes somewhere to stabilize in the back of the picture.
I'm not sure there's a consistent set of lines towards the back that can be fused.
Well, I'm not saying trying to find it in any particular place. Just slap them in there. As long as you can, then you kind of fool the eyes into thinking that the rest of the picture is proper.
That would probably work. I mean, it would definitely work better in this instance than in trying to animate it. Because, in animating, if you looked at it in motion, you would definitely see something was not moving correctly. But in presenting it this way, you wouldn't be able to tell. Faking the tail. I know from personal experience of trying to fake the tail, fake any part of a naturally moving creature is really, really difficult. For me, anyway.
I think the idea is great, and I think the goal is great and achievable, but I have no idea how to do it.
I'm gonna try to find a simpler subject or maybe even shoot something myself. I mean, I have a big piece of green cloth.
Have you tried it with fewer frames? I mean,
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's like I said. I picked every 8 frames, and before that, I was using. I think the first time I did it, I don't know if I showed it, but I did every frame
right.
or every other frame. And but yes, I could. I'm thinking about that. I mean, the fewer frames when it gets up close, it doesn't look so good. I wonder if I can start at the back side with fewer frames and then add frames a little bit at a time as I get closer, as the cat or the whatever I'm photographing gets closer to you.
I think that would be an interesting idea. That would make it a little less busy in the rear. But then having more frames up front might lend that sort of sense of animation, that sense of motion.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a note and try that.
Yeah, for me, it's really not clear that it's a cat up until like the last 3 frames, maybe.
Yeah, well, that's okay with me. There's a certain amount of intrigue. I mean, not really, because I think the first thing you see is the big cat in the front, so you already know. So it's not like solving a mystery starting at the back. I think I wonder that could work in animation, where you see like a blob, and then as it gets closer to you say, "Oh, I get what it is." Can be a fun approach to in a film.
Yeah. Well, I hope if you decide to keep working on this, I hope you show us your results. I hope you do keep working on this.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, love to see where you take this. So if you want to show it to us next month, we'd love that.
Okay.
By the way, when I say next month, I mean December. Our next meeting is like 2 weeks away because of our adjusted November schedule. And I'll remind everyone about that at the end of this meeting.
I don't think I'm going to be here for the next two meetings. I mean, the December meetings.
Right. Well, I'll take a poll now that you mention it. Traditionally, in the past, we haven't had a December meeting, but we did have a December meeting, two December meetings rather, last year. I'll take a poll before I commit to anything. Thanks for mentioning that, Steve. Could be that a lot of people are going to be out of town. And thank you for letting us pick this one apart. Let's enjoy another one by Steve. Egyptian Ruins is the title.
Okay, I guess this is kind of the opposite of what Oleg's first two pictures. It's one that had almost no color except for some blue in the sky. And I just went back to an old picture that I took when we were visiting Egypt. I think probably the one thing to mention is I couldn't get the depth I wanted and get everything from top to bottom. So this is actually two pictures. The tower, the tallest item in the background, that was chopped off in the main picture. And then I tilted the camera up and shot it again, and then I merged those two so I could get the top and get the depth that I want. Because I pulled back farther, I wasn't getting the depth that I liked.
The depth is perfect, I think. Do you know if you did the shadow highlights?
Yeah.
Because I think for black and white, you might want to undo that. At least here, I'd like to see more of the dark tones.
Oh, okay.
I have a funny idea. If you superimpose that cat picture on this one, it's pretty much the same perspective.
They did like cats. Well, there's a lot of hieroglyphics that have cats in them. So yeah, I would say it seems appropriate.
Steve, what kind of tools do you use in Affinity to convert photo to black and white?
I just use saturation. I think there is a monochrome tool, and but the saturation is within the raw tools. So I was already going in and adjusting the shadow highlights and the contrast within the raw tools. So I said, gee, I can do it there. I don't have to search for the other tool, which I hadn't used before.
Got it.
I don't know if their monochrome tool is quite as robust as the one in Photoshop. I remember that you can adjust the sliders for making different colors have different shades of gray.
Right.
I'll have to pursue that and see. I wouldn't be surprised. There are a lot of tools that I don't know anything about. And if they've been sitting in Photoshop for, a couple of years, then there's a good chance it's in there.
Yeah, that's the tool that I'm familiar with, the Photoshop one, and it does allow you to adjust the lightness, the darkness of the colors in the image. But there probably wasn't a whole lot of color in this original photo to begin with, right? Other than maybe the sky.
Exactly. There's a slight bit in the original photo. There's a slight sort of sepia tint to it, but it's very monochromatic.
Well, and you've got a great stereo composition, as you said. Great depth in this one.
Thanks.
And we've got one more by Steve. And the title is Tree.
Yeah, this was taken the same day as the ones from last week, where they were cutting off the branches of the trees, and I just thought, oh, okay, that's a pretty nice sky. I'll try to get a picture that will work in black and white.
Yeah, very dramatic.
Yeah, I think the depth works pretty well. A sky like that is a big help for 3D.
Really neat. Yeah, the sky really makes this composition. And was the tree this dark in your original photo, or did you darken it?
It's pretty dark, but I wouldn't put it past me to darken it some more for dramatic effects.
Gives kind of a stormy appearance. Adds a lot of drama.
And then I did it on purpose.
Yeah, there you go. And really nice depth too.
Thanks.
I identify a lot of triangles in this composition.
That's true.
Very nice. Well, thank you, Steve.
Yeah. Well, thanks for everybody's suggestions.
Melinda, we have two by you. And the first is titled Aquatic Gazebo.
Yeah, so this was shot at Brickyard Cove by Point Richmond. I swung through here after our last get together. Same time I took the photo of that metal recycling operation, and there's some interesting picturesque little areas back there, but this was the only shot that caught my eye. Seemed a very natural subject, and it kind of reminds me of Oleg's multiple sightlines. It was not a deliberate homage, but maybe he's affecting how I'm looking at sightlines in my images. So the gazebo itself is obviously the main subject, and then but down the left side of the image, you can see all the way to the back hill between all these nice verticals. So there's some interesting stuff going on the left side of the image too. So it's almost like two images.
Nice reflections in the water.
Oh yeah, that's just lucky because this is a shot, so it was pretty much perfectly still. I didn't have to fix anything, which is, well, I probably wouldn't have even attempted it if I had to. Yeah, I was very happy about that, and I liked the spread of exposures. I don't think I did much in that regard. I might have boosted the contrast a little bit. and adjusted the levels or something, but I don't think I touched up anything except for there's a man walking in front of the gazebo. I cloned him. That was the only thing I did like that. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, the vertical masts make this perfect stereo composition. It's got plenty of depth. As Lee pointed out, you got those great reflections, and you've got that lovely frame of the gazebo between the masts. I think you really scored with this one. And
Oh, thanks.
it's it's a unique view, as you said. It's kind of this picturesque area that doesn't get a lot of attention. It's not widely photographed.
I'm sure that any of us would spot this sort of view immediately if you were driving by it. But if you can find more good subjects back there, I'd be curious. It was kind of elusive for me. I was happy to find this one.
Yeah, if you explore a little farther down, unfortunately, a lot of this is private property now, and there's a new housing development. Well, maybe it went in 5 years ago, that kind of cut off access to part of this waterfront. But there are some interesting derelict buildings and equipment from World War II in this neighborhood also, if you go a little bit farther down. There's also a terminal where the big freighters come in, these big ships, and offload new cars. So there are some interesting scenes in this neighborhood. I'm really, really pleased to see that you've identified some of these great compositional opportunities.
Now, it's interesting that you mentioned cars because there is a gigantic parking lot that's full of identical cars. Well, not completely full. It's like only a quarter full, but it's an enormous parking lot. Probably the biggest I've ever seen anywhere. So it's clearly storage of new cars coming in or something. But is that what you're talking about? Have you seen that parking lot?
That's got to be it, yeah. And that huge
Yeah.
parking lot fills up to capacity, and then they all disappear, and it'll be empty, depending on how they ship these things around.
Yeah, you're not going to want to leave new cars out like that.
Yeah, I agree that this is a really nice composition. I especially like the way the two boats frame the little house there. And the coloring being that those are really light, and that one's kind of the darkest thing other than the mountains way in the background. I've gotten some pictures, not as good a composition as this, but and the Berkeley Marina, which is pretty open. You can pretty much go anywhere there. So if you want to get a bunch of boats, that's a good spot.
Yeah,
Where exactly is it?
Are you asking me?
Anybody?
the photo.
Where's what?
This place.
She said this is in Point Richmond.
The gazebo?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Brickyard Cove. It's sort of at the southern tip of the peninsula that has the Miller Knox Regional Shoreline Keller Beach, Point Richmond. So it's sort of like it's like the southernmost tip of that area of Richmond. Call it the southwest tip of Richmond.
Good. I'll be there.
Yeah, check it out and go look at that parking lot area. It's I mean it's real obvious from Google Maps or Google Earth, and it's enormous. And if you can find a vantage, there are some low hills. Probably need a drone to do it justice, but but bring your telephoto rig. You might get something spectacular there.
Oleg, I'm putting a Google Maps link in the chat to Brickyard Cove, but I think Melinda has explained how to find it. I don't think you'll have any trouble getting there now, with or without the map. Yeah, this is great. Thanks, Melinda. Very
Thank you.
nice. And also from Melinda, we have, just get my notes out of the way here, Manfred. This is a portrait.
Yes, so this is my very, very good and very old friend Manfred Wormuth. He's kind of a famous machine learning expert. He teaches, or he taught machine learning at UC Santa Cruz, where I went, although I never took a course from him. Yeah, he's a lot of fun. We've done a lot of crazy things together, so I took a few snaps of him the last time I was down there a couple of weeks ago, and I liked this one because he just came out looking crazy, and his hair flying everywhere, and I don't know, very strange expression. He also has a problem with his eyes. Unfortunately, he can't see in 3D. He has one eye that kind of jerks around, so it doesn't really behave. Unfortunate, but he can drive and stuff, but he can't see these images. But anyway, I just love the crazy look on his face, and of course he's under full bright noonday sun, and my H1 is struggles with highlights. It also struggles in low light as well, but anyway, it's just a couple of spots on his nose and cheek that are sort of blown out. But otherwise, it came out okay. Most of his face is in shadow, but again, it would have been really blown out otherwise.
I feel like you can probably darken the whole thing, or at least his face. It seems a little washed out overall. I mean, not just the highlights, but the dark areas don't seem to be completely black. I keep thinking you could, improve the contrast or the gamma. Then that might take care of the hotspot too.
Well, I think the hotspot is burned in. I don't think there's any image information to extract there.
If you just darkened everything, that would make the hotspot a little less white. I mean, I don't know that it's bad. It's not. It's natural. But
it's a flaw in the camera. I don't think I can do much better with this. But if you want to fool around with it, I'd be more than happy to.
I've got the other picture I'm
The
supposed to
results.
forward.
Yeah, no, I don't want to push you. I don't have much hope in getting a better result.
Well,
I mean, it's okay.
Are you
It's
throwing
just,
down the gauntlet? Oh my God, now I have to go in and try and do something with it.
Well,
Well,
please show me up. Yeah, I'm
free-
not. It's not a
feel free-
challenge. It's definitely not a challenge. If there's something I can learn, then I'll be very happy.
feel free to send it and I'll give it a shot.
Okay, no pressure.
I don't know if you have it on the original, but I'd prefer it if you had something on the right side of the image. So his nose would be more in the center of the composition.
Well, there was a chair that I put one of Matt's gray rectangles over. Rather than try to.
Did you have even more room on the right? Is what I'm asking.
Oh, that's a very good question. I'm pretty sure I had a lot of room on the sides.
Well, you make use of it.
Yeah, I just thought it was distracting. Like under the rectangle is a chair, that sort of has sort of slats and therefore stripes, sort of like your picture. So I found it really distracting, and so hence the rectangles. So there is more image, and it's different, and it would detract from the main subject, but it might make a better picture. I don't know.
Well, the main subject is so big that I don't think anything will distract you.
Oh, that's a good point. All right, I'll take another look at it. I normally just try to pay attention to what really catches my eye in a photo, and then try to crop to give the greatest access to whatever is the most attention grabbing. But that's just my style. I know that you like to give people a lot to examine. And so in that way, I think you inspired my my gazebo photo. And maybe I should back off a little more in general, or at least consider those opportunities more than I'm naturally doing at the moment.
did you?
Even cutting off an inch or so on the left of the image would make it a little less static.
Yeah, there's more room. At the risk of suggesting homework for you, I could send you the image too, and you could just do the crop. You wouldn't have to do any work. But if
Yes, send me the original image. And
that'd be great. Yeah, please give it an old crop, and I'm sure I'll learn a lot from that. Okay, great. Thank you.
I won't be able to get to it until January because I'm going to Chile in a couple of weeks.
Oh, how exciting.
My cousin lives there.
All right. That's exciting.
If you get a chance, get up into the Atacama Desert. You could get some the Atacama Desert. It's very high desert. That's where all the big telescopes are.
My cousin lives at the very south, down in the Lake District, so I wouldn't be able to go up there.
Yeah, I think it's not just in the middle, but it's inland and way up high. It's probably, I don't know, 14,000 feet or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen, I don't know how you do a 3D picture there because there's nothing sticking up, no
Well,
trees.
there's all these telescopes. So
Oh, up there.
it's called what is it, the Very Large Telescope or Very Large Baseline Telescope? I forget how many. It's a huge array of. Well, you remember the movie Contact? Did you see Contact with Jodie Foster? It's it features prominently in the movie. That's where she works at the beginning.
I think it's on the poster for the movie too.
Probably, yeah. You'll recognize it right away when you see it. So yeah, it would make a good subject. And there are other telescopes around there as well. Some of them are telescope arrays, and there's also like the biggest optical telescope under construction right now. They're on some peak. So other than being a super flat desert without pretty much any life at all, it's pretty much all these telescopes that are up there. But they're pretty fascinating. I'm sure they'd make great subjects.
Too far away.
Yeah.
It'll be like,
Well, I look forward to seeing what you bring back.
yeah, we'll have to see.
Melinda, I know some of your other portraits have had some, minor blowouts like this one, but have done very well in our club as well as with the internationals that you've entered them in. So, it's pretty clear to me that that's a flaw that people can overlook or maybe even consider it intentional. It is kind of a characteristic of the camera. So, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the picture of Jerry was interesting because it has a similar blown out highlight, but he wasn't in direct sunlight at all. So it's something weird. I'd go so much to call it a bug. I think it's in the firmware. Might not be the actual hardware itself.
All right. Well, thank you, Melinda. Yeah, I love your portraits.
Thank you.
And that is actually our group tonight. It's a smaller group. I really appreciate everyone making it on this unusually scheduled meeting date. We don't usually meet the third Tuesday, but because of the election, here we are. I do want to spend a few moments for those who can with the poll. Let's pick our top three, and we'll see which images were considered the best from tonight's group. I'm going to go through the slideshow again. We didn't have a chance to look at Bob's. Go ahead.
Matt?
Yeah.
Matt, I need to take off, but you did ask a question earlier about December, and there's no particular reason I can't attend in December.
Okay, thank you.
And so I'm going to take off. Have a great evening.
Good night. See you later.
Now, did you want to maybe show Robert's images anyway? We gave him a chance to show up, but if we're gonna vote, this is the one time to.
I agree.
To include him in the black and white special.
Yeah, let's not overlook his contributions. He has 3 photos for tonight. If you're following along on the YouTube streams, they'll pop up in a few moments. The first one is on the Zoom screen share right now. And I can even tell you the title of it. The title is Escape. Do we have any comments for Bob, who might be watching later one of our recorded streams?
I want to know where he found it.
I'm guessing at an art supply store. An art supply store warehouse.
And then did he set this up or what? Very creative.
It is. We also have from Bob Nautilus. Great subject for black and white. Yeah, very subtle stereo effect. Very beautiful. I wonder how he lit this. It has kind of a luminous quality to it. And
Maybe it's on
finally
display.
from Bob. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I step on somebody?
Oh, that was me. That's fine. I was just wondering if it might be part of a display. So somebody else might have lit it.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. Finally from Bob is Popo. This looks like an exhibit at maybe a Maker Faire or Burning Man. The flamethrower is a giveaway. Not a whole lot of depth in this one. All right. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of the slideshow, and I'm going to go through it again, just so that we can refamiliarize ourselves with the photos. I'll mention the title and the name and spend just a few seconds on each one.
Matt, is it possible to put a link to the poll somewhere?
It is. Let me do that for you. I'll put it in the chat if that will work for you.
I think that'll work.
And there it is. If you want, you can... Okay. So the link to the poll is in the chat now.
Yeah, that worked.
And by the way, I keep the poll link is the same each month. So if it's convenient for you, if you want to bookmark it, you can go to that every meeting. That said, I'll go through the slideshow. First is Greenhouse Interior in Grayscale by Oleg. No Hunting at an Idaho Ranch by Oleg. Quasi-Grayscale at a Hamilton Parking Lot by Oleg. Surfer Confronts Big Wave by Oleg. Escape by Bob. Nautilus by Bob. Popo by Bob. Catwalk by Steve. Egyptian Ruins by Steve. Tree by Steve. Aquatic Gazebo by Melinda. And Manfred by Melinda. That's our group. Let's take 60, 90 seconds or so to make our selections. Please select your personal top 3. And I'll show the results in just a few moments. First, I've got to vote.
And we'll pause for a moment. Melinda, does Manfred have an accent as thick as that photograph might suggest?
Oh, yes, very much so.
But very
You know him?
Danish, maybe?
German.
Okay.
Yeah, as you would expect on Manfred. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he grew up at almost exactly on the old border between East and West Germany. Very rural. And he keeps bees and he raises rabbits and has all kinds of fruit trees and experiments going on. Very fun guy to be around.
And he's quite the Google scholar, too.
He is, yeah. So he's tenured from UC Santa Cruz, and but he's working sort of part-time at Google, and sort of in the heart of where they're working on their large language model. So and I'm totally fascinated with the subject, but I can't really talk about it with him too much because I know so little compared to him on the at the level of where he's making his contributions. But yeah, it's one of the most exciting places in the world right now.
All right, I'm going to stop my screen share. Does anyone need more time to complete their poll? If not, I'll go ahead and show the results. First, before we look at the results, here's the DVD cover, the poster for Contact. You can see that array of, what are these, Melinda? Radio telescopes?
Yes. They work together to make essentially one telescope as large as the footprint of the whole array.
This is a Robert Zemeckis movie. I think people forget what a versatile director he is. I mean, because he's so well known for Back to the Future and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But he's done Flight and, Forrest Gump. I don't know if anybody saw the new one. I didn't see it. I think it's called Here.
No, I haven't seen it. But Contact it's sort of a favorite movie of so many people.
Is it a 3D?
Oh, that's a good question. I have no idea.
I don't think it's 3D.
No. From 97. You'd have to run it through your Lume Pad or whatever Leopix is called now. Yeah, it's not a 3D movie.
Zemeckis has made one really excellent 3D movie, The Walk.
Oh,
I think it's
that's
called The
right.
Walk.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow I thought that was that was post-processed, but yeah, it worked really well in 3D. I thought that was
Oh yeah, there's some
a perfect
amazing
subject.
vertiginous shots in that movie.
All right, well, let's look at the results of our poll. All right, Oleg, your greenhouse interior in grayscale was the first we saw and the first we selected. Very nice. Looks like we've got a tie for second between Bob's Escape and Melinda's Aquatic Gazebo. And Melinda's Manfred is our clear third. Very nice. Thank you. Speaking of The Walk, yes, indeed. The Walk, it's a fantastic 3D movie. It's a longer title, but is really a 3D first movie. It'll give you a sense of vertigo, even though you're not there. It's remarkable. So, I wanted to follow up with a bit that I've learned about what's going on with the half-width stream. It appears to be a Lume Pad issue, not a YouTube issue. The stream itself coming out of YouTube looks fine. So if you're watching it on a 3D TV or some other device, I'm sure it'll be okay. You'll be able to watch the version that is recorded after this meeting. So there does seem to be something going on with the recently updated LeiaTube app. So I'll follow up. I'll check some message boards. Maybe I'll follow up with the company themselves and see if we can't get to the bottom of this. But it looks to me like it's strictly a tablet issue, not an issue with the YouTube stream. For whatever that's worth. Maybe that's just more of interest to me than anybody else. I do want to say that our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, December 3rd. That's just 2 weeks away, I think. Yeah. The submittal date. I have been posting the Sunday before the meeting as the submittal date to get your stereo photos to me for inclusion in the slideshow. But really, if you can get it to me by Monday afternoon, that's fine. I usually put together the slideshows. You know, I'm stuck in the office on Mondays, so I don't get a chance to actually assemble the slideshow until about 5-6 o'clock on Monday evening. So between you and me, you've got that much time to submit your photos, and I'll do my best to accommodate anyone who submits their photos after that. I do want to include everyone and everything, so I'll do what I can if you get them to me after that. Our special subject, which will be the meeting following, that would be the December 11th. Our special subject is nighttime. And again, you can get those to me as late as Monday afternoon, December 9th. I am going to post a poll to see how much interest and availability there is in a December meeting. At this point, I'm still planning on having it, but if it turns out that half of us are going to be on vacation, maybe I'll postpone it. And I'll be posting that probably tonight. And those are all the announcements I have. Looks like we'll be closing up a little early tonight. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I do. By the way, I will be here on the
Okay.
3rd. I won't be here on the 11th. And I did play around with Affinity during the meeting, and I found it. It was in the layers, which the advantage there is that the tools that are in the layers are non-destructive. So the monochrome tool, which they just call black and white, it's just like Photoshop. It has a bunch of different shades, primary colors and secondary colors that you can adjust to enhance the black levels. So it's got a great tool, and yeah, it's non-destructive, so you can vary it or turn it on and off. Doesn't affect the original picture. I also wanted to mention that on Thursday night, one of the big movies of the holiday season is coming in 3D, Wicked.
Yes.
It's on the wonderful play. So if you're not familiar with it, it's got some great music, and it's looking at the Wizard of Oz from a different angle. And I think that's it.
Yeah. Thanks,
Also,
Steve.
people haven't seen, the Beam Pro is on sale.
Or how,
I think it's like 40 off.
Wow, that's a
Well,
deal.
how much is it?
I'd have to buy myself a little Christmas present. The link I put in the chat, I sometimes do a posting that needs explanation. It's a link to a music video by Michael Jackson titled "Black or White," which is kind of, if you haven't seen it in a while, it's, especially in this political climate, it's worth watching. I was really excited about it because it was the first time I'd ever seen the facial, what do they call it? Merging from one face to another.
The morphing. Yes.
Thank you. And it was really high tech at that time. So yeah, it's a video worth watching. But it's black or white, not black and white.
Well, that's a really famous video. I believe John Landis directed that. And PDI, right here in the Bay Area at the time, did the morphing.
Yeah, in fact, they would have offered me a job helping to do that, but I was not about to be one of those morphers. I mean, they were interested in me as a developer as well, but that was they were doing the real cutting edge stuff at that time.
Yeah. Well, they managed to get it done even without your help.
Yeah, they did a good job. Whatever happened to them?
Well, they got eaten up by DreamWorks, so they're essentially DreamWorks Animation, and they're still doing it. They got. I think they were responsible for The Wild Robot, just came out, and then their How to Train Your Dragon, which is one of their big movies.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Now a live action version. I've been seeing promotions for that. I don't know why they need to do that, but that's what they're doing. So yeah, they're definitely still very active.
Good. Very talented people.
All right. Yeah. Pick up that Beam Pro. Jay, is that Beam Pro? Is that for sale? Are you looking on Amazon, or is that on the manufacturer website?
It should be both. Definitely manufacturer.
There it is. Let's see.
Is there a reason for the sale?
You know, it's still $200 on Amazon, so maybe it's just on their website. I have to do some research. All right.
Well, is
Well-
anybody using the Beam Pro? Does anybody have a review?
I carry mine with me everywhere I go because I can. It's light enough. I have a lot of gripes about the camera, but it is the only camera that I'm carrying with me nowadays.
But Matt, don't you have gripes about every camera?
I do, yes. But I have, I could fill up the rest of this meeting about my gripes. It's not as good as a Fuji W3, I would say, even though it has some strengths. But its biggest strength is that it is, a compact kind of point and shoot stereo camera with a generous base, and it is a lot of fun to use. And I have exhibited some photos that I've taken with it. There was a mention, I think this was in regards to the Detroit International. There was a mention about how many X-Real Beam Pro photos were submitted to that, and they do have a kind of a specific look because of their wider lenses. Just as you can identify a shot by a Fuji W3, you can also kind of spot a X-Real Beam Pro. So maybe I'm the only one in our group using it, but I know that they're getting a lot of use from other stereo photographers and other clubs. It gets there's a lot of discussion about it on the main 3D group's IO discussion board. So I know a lot of people are using it.
I wonder if we could sort of get all the world's stereo groups together and somehow sponsor the creation of our own camera. Because
Yeah.
all the hardware is ready off the shelf. I mean, it's all the pieces are there. I don't know what kind of volume you would have to have for it to make sense, but it'd be
Okay.
interesting to find out.
What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, a guy, Martin, in one of the 360 groups that's actually produced cameras.
Uh-huh.
And of course, as Nemo would be a good resource to tap
Sure.
into. But definitely having some sort of forum where a white paper is made defining the cameras we'd like to see, so that anybody who's thinking of it, like Ego,
That's a good point. Yeah, not
Yeah,
everything has to be done.
hand the manufacturer another calc, just say, hey, these are the things we could use.
Here's a market. This is what would
I mean-
get us excited. Yeah,
I'd
that
love,
makes sense.
yeah, I'd love to see a camera like the Beam, but with 3 lenses at one lens, 30 millimeters, and then 60 millimeters from that.
When there,
Second
what about
lens.
there?
Well, I would at the top of my list would be to have one of the lenses be on a slide.
That would be good, but that could also be mechanically difficult.
I don't see why. I mean, it's just something needs to slide in a nice stable slot, and then the electronics underneath. I mean, it's just wires that would need a little extra play, but I
All
don't see why
the
not.
ideas should be in one forum that we can point manufacturers to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the X-Reel Beam Pro sale is on the official website. They've dropped it from $199 to $159. I'll put this link in the chat for those who are interested. Maybe in a day or two, the price drop will follow on Amazon. That's where I got mine. But it is on sale. To your point, Melinda, the Beam Pro, I'm quite sure this is all off the shelf components. It's really just an Android tablet with the pair of lenses and a custom camera app, which really isn't very sophisticated. So I think it's certainly possible using off the shelf hardware.
It might even be possible to retrofit the Beam Pro. And now that the price is going down, it is more attractive. I may have to get one.
I encourage everyone to get one who doesn't have a dedicated stereo camera. It's getting a lot of praise for its 3D video as well. It'll shoot, I don't know what the frame rate is, but it will shoot HD resolution video. The alignment is excellent. And I was curious, I did look into if it was possible to physically replace the lenses in this device to something a little less wide, but it's basically integrated into the camera sensor. It's not the kind of thing that you could actually take apart and reassemble.
What did you want to do to it?
So one characteristic of the X-Reel Beam Pro is that it uses fairly wide lenses. So you don't really get a fisheye effect, but you do get converging verticals if you shoot, from an angle pointing up or down. I think most new cameras now have fairly wide lenses, but I was just curious if this could be converted to something a little more natural, like a 35 millimeter equivalent, something like that.
Well, you might want to look on Amazon. I bought. I once submitted an image that I did this way. There are these camera attachment lenses that you could get for almost nothing. I mean, like $5 or something. And it comes with a little metal ring with a sticker backing on it, and you put it on your phone so that magnets on the lens can attach to it. And then you just take out, the small, medium, or large angle lens you want, and just stick it right to it.
So it just attaches over the lens, basically.
Yeah, it just goes right on top of a standard cell phone lens, and it works. Now, these were only going from a regular lens to wider angle lenses. I don't know if there are ones that do the reverse, but I wouldn't be surprised if you couldn't find it.
Yeah, I think there would be. Yeah, that's a great
So
idea.
they're basically
I'll look
free,
into that.
so check it out.
I will.
If it totally doesn't work at all, you just throw it away. So what?
Right. Yeah, that would be easy enough to experiment with.
I put links in books about manufacturing in China.
All right. So there is potential here.
Yeah. I'm guessing that probably need like 1,000 minimum.
Scrape up 1,000 customers.
Yeah.
At least at this price point.
I would love to adjust the ergonomics of this camera so that the physical shutter button, which is a nice to have, isn't all crowded here by the lenses, so you're not risking putting your finger over the lens, as I always do. Sort of like everything is right in here, and then there's all this unused space here where a shutter button would be a natural fit.
And of course, the flash in the corner.
Yeah, not right between the lenses. Absolute worst place for it.
Huh.
It'll cast conflicting shadows in this location. Yeah. So maybe the next version of this device will also address those problems and add a third lens or maybe a sliding lens. We can at least suggest it.
Mike, what were you showing us there?
I was thinking it was the title that brought up, but it's not quite. This is the Essential Guide to Electronics in Shenzhen. I bought it for my little sister for Christmas one time.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's by Andrew Bunny Hang. Yeah, it's fun.
That's why I paste in chat.
That looks like a newer version of it.
Yeah, Naomi wrote it and said that there's some major updates.
The small world.
Okay.
All right, guys. Great conversation. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for showing up. I will likely be seeing you in December. If not, have a great holiday. Enjoy your, for our U.S. guests, enjoy Thanksgiving. Coming right up. Is that next week? I think it is, yeah. And thank you, Steve. And we will meet again. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. All right.
Thanks all.
Thanks for hosting, Matt. See you later.
See you later.